Peter, tell me, why did you start the World Property Network?
It really came from my experience in buying property overseas and locally as well, and how people find it very frustrating to get a lot of core information very quickly. Having flown airliners for many years in my previous career, it's given me a great opportunity to actually look at the global marketplace. And it's quite interesting that people have the same issues or the same requirements and same aspirations when buying property. And really, the most important thing for people is to, in a relatively short period of time, fast track the information they require. Where is the property? What is the value of the property? What's good location, etc., and so on. So it's really from my direct experience, and if you like, we're looking from the outside of the industry in rather than the inside of the industry out. And a lot of the historic companies have done it the other way around. So we're trying to plug a gap from the consumer's standpoint rather than an estate agent or a property developer.
So it's really a troubleshooting for people who want to get into property or are looking for a property. It's really their first port of call?
I'd like to think so. I mean, people all like to run to Google and put in keywords, etc., and that's okay, but the way people really want to look at it is to get what I call a fairly selfish experience online. It's a quick response. People's lives are at ridiculously high pace these days. They want to get something out of the computer very quickly and to get drilling down. And what we've done is we've designed the site to actually take them on a journey, not only from a language and currency point of view, but also from a mapping point of view. You want to know where the property is, the local area, and so on.
So what is the problem that TWPN is solving?
The most important thing, I think, is that everybody knows mentally their own currency. And you know what £100,000 can buy you in this country, for example. But when you're looking overseas, you may not know that mentally. You may know roughly what it may be, like a euro right now is almost parity. But when you've got a succinct budget of not too much money, say for example, you want a budget of £100,000 to £220,000, and you want to put that into your search criteria to decide what you can buy and where. Of course, the other obvious thing is language, and we've catered for both. So the unique aspect of TWPN is that we're catering for the language and currency requirements for someone wanting to search in the currency and language of their choice. We've also invested a lot of money in our mapping system as well. So not only do you want to look at it in your own language and currency, you also want to know where that property is. Is it on the beach or not on the beach? Is it near an airport? You want it near an airport but not on an airport. So the location is really quite critical for people to get them on that visual journey of drilling down to their requirements. And I like to think that we have looked from a consumer standpoint and giving them the opportunity to look at it again from the outside of the industry in. And I know that's what I would like, and our experience has demonstrated that that's what the public actually do want.
that's really interesting. Tell me more about the different languages that you use on the site.
What we've got is we've got 72 language options on the site, and again it's really catering for the consumer, where people can look at the property and the images, etc. To have the description in their own native language is really quite powerful. Mm-hmm. And one of the clients of ours recently was using one of our websites, and the gentleman, a Russian gentleman, spoke fluent English, but his mother, who was buying, couldn't speak a word of English. So they transferred the whole website with a click of a button to the whole language of Russian and in their own currency. And the lady, whilst they were talking to the agent concerned, loved what she read, and they ended up buying the property.
Wow.
So say for example you're in America, the site will automatically know from the IP from which you're looking at the site in, it will convert straight away into US dollars. So that covers half the problem for people looking in America. But you could have an American person wanting to buy in India, which is a huge market for. Mm-hmm. In India, you can only buy property if you're an Indian passport holder. Now the market is huge in North America for people who are native Indians, origins of India, wanting to buy in their home country.
Sure.
So we can cater for them on that, and that's really where our focus has been.
So even living in another country, you can manually change to have the currency reflect where you're buying?
Yes, absolutely. And that is really important. It will default to wherever you are because the IP knows where you're actually sitting geographically. Mm-hmm. But if you're sitting in America, you want to look at the site in euros, then the whole site will completely convert with a centralized medium value of currency, and it's a live feed as well, so there's no disparity in the actual value of the currency. It's actually a live feed.
Right, so the value could actually go up and down depending on exchange rates from day to day?
Yes, it's on average daily rate which the traders work on in the city, mm-hmm. which is good enough for someone getting an idea of what a property buys you for 500,000 euros in Antigua, for example.
Well, that's a very powerful website. How is it that other companies have missed the mark in trying to do this?
I think the property portal market started in the 1990s, a little bit like the website, the www. era. And what they haven't done is they haven't really evolved. They've got essentially a business model that promotes listing properties on their website. What they haven't catered for is detailed mapping that I've spoken about already, language and currency. So the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, and what we've hopefully done, is we've spent literally years of research and development. I've been around the world many times, hundreds of times in my career, and I have been down to Australia, New Zealand, and doing our market research and development to actually ask the pertinent questions. What do the agents want and what do the consumers want? And I'm hoping that TWPN has brought that together to a degree. It's also quite a challenge to actually work on a global marketplace, mm-hmm. Where you do have the localized companies that have a dominance within their own country, and we would like to embrace the industry, particularly the estate agents and developers, and allow them to move forward at a relatively small cost to them, but to evolve with the next generation of technology.
So in a way, you're sort of lending the personal touch to a global audience.
We are actually, and we really want to give the consumers a great experience and take them on a journey. Mm-hmm. Not only, let me give you an example. If you wanted to move to Australia with your family and take your business as well, where we've designed the websites, you don't actually need to leave the TWPN website. We're catering for all the associated services, the travel, the hotels, the currency, obviously finding the property, dealing with the right caliber of agents, etc. That's the ultimate goal for the ultimate service, where you're building trust within a brand and people feel confident about what you're actually delivering for them.
So what really makes TWPN unique in terms of its features?
Well, again, we want to take people on a journey, and people want to know where a property is. And what's really important with people looking both locally and overseas is what's in the surrounding areas. So say, for example, you've got 3 children at different age groups, primary school, secondary school and university. The site will actually be able to show you, relative to the property you may be interested in buying, where those services are and those schools are, which is really quite important for you on your decision-making process before you spend an immeasurable amount of time driving around trying to look at the ideal house. It could be the ideal house, but the wrong location for your personal needs. And our research has revealed, which is really quite interesting overseas, that the 2 biggest aspects of property trading internationally, or buying I should say internationally, actually is hospitals and the proximity of hospitals for an older age group.
Sure.
They want to be relatively close, not 5 hours away. And the other aspect is actually how their pets are going to be looked after with vets. So that's amazing. So we've actually included those icons on through our research. It's really quite important. And again, you know, the buying public, I hope, will genuinely benefit from that.
And I suppose that's really important, especially if people are looking at an area of the world that they might not have visited before. They might not know what the local culture is or what the local society has in terms of facilities and, like you say, hospitals, schools.
Yeah, it's very true, and it's quite a daunting, and we all know it's a very stressful experience in buying, not only locally, but trying to buy overseas. And I've done this. Buying overseas is a pleasurable experience, which can become an awesome task afterwards. And the reality is that you have to buy everything again. You have to buy the furniture, the cutlery. You have to work remotely. You know, if you're using it, for example, as a second home or a holiday home, you've got all of these things to consider. And even down to getting a local mobile phone or some local help or someone to maintain your gardens or swimming pool. All of these things are very real, and it can actually, if not planned well, become an unenjoyable experience of having your asset or your holiday home. So again, we've got those services on our website to embrace the industry, to hope that they will actually be able to access this information in any country they're actually wanting to search for property in.
So can people continue to use the service after they've bought, almost like a global concierge service?
Yes, that's the plan. And what we've got on each country, we've got associated services for each country. So again, it can be quite daunting, not only just buying property, but also looking for the ancillaries that you require.
Yes.
Obviously, the mortgages will be catered for at the point of purchase, but also the legalities of buying. A lot of countries, for example, offer residences for buying a freehold property. Many countries do that. That could be the primary interest for someone wanting to invest. For example, in Cyprus, you can actually, if you're a Russian passport holder and origins, or Chinese, buying in Cyprus would allow you to have citizenship. So those are considerations that we've looked at, but from a legal point of view, we have on the site an icon to click on for conveyancing services, tax advice as well. So if you're buying it as a holiday home and arguably as an investment as well, what are the tax implications? Are you domicile, non-domicile? What is the criteria required? All of these questions need to be asked getting into a love affair of buying overseas is very attractive to a lot of people. There are holiday homes where they're going to retire and spend the rest of their lives. If they don't plan it well, it can become a nightmare. And I've experienced this, and that's why we've designed the website to hopefully negate those things that possibly will happen to people.
So what are your future plans for TWPN? Where do you see it going?
I think the most important thing for us is to, as best we can, cater for the requirements of the industry and the consumer. They're the final arbitrator of the success of any business, no matter how good you may think it is. If they don't utilise it, then you haven't really got a business. So I'm hoping that at this stage we've actually managed to cater for what I think they need, both locally and internationally. Also, what's really important as far as we're concerned is actually embracing the industry as well and giving estate agents and developers the opportunity to utilise our software, our investment and our website criteria that can actually then be utilised for their own use and their own website, and give them a passive income as well with the services that you as a consumer would buy from somebody in France that's using one of our websites. You may want to transfer £500,000 to €500,000. Again, we'll give you a branding confidence by going through our website, through our associated partner for foreign exchange, for example.
So how is it exactly that you're helping the property buying industry?
Most of the property portals around the world are driven by listing fees, and they're not cheap for the average estate agent. The average estate agent, interestingly enough, globally, has about 15 to 20 properties when they start up. Sometimes some of them stay with that amount of properties. What we want to do is to really embrace the industry and give them an opportunity to showcase their properties on an international scale, language, currency, location of the property, etc. And I think that our business model will allow them to do that.
So how are you ensuring that you get sufficient coverage at a local level?
Our plan is to offer franchises to countries, a country franchise. So somebody that knows their industry within their country will be able to utilise their network of contacts, estate agents, developers, and basically promoting the brand. It's quite an ambitious campaign. I am utterly convinced that there's a market for it because the industry hasn't evolved as much as they could have done within property globally. The hotel market have absolutely got it right. Look at Trivago, an outstanding website.
Yeah.
The travel industry have completely got it right with the airlines and the hotels and the search facilities. The property industry, for some reason, has not managed to keep up. They're like the rabbits in the lights. They simply haven't managed to catch up with the digital market and the digital era of property trading. So if we can actually allow somebody, for example, in New Zealand, that can actually utilise a franchise under licence, they can then utilise within their own marketplace, their own database of clients, and know their market and work with us on the product.
Peter, thank you so much. That was Peter Mansfield from the World Property Network.